Our modern image of Norse paganism and Vikings is not based on any scientifically verifiable data, according to experts. They say that ideas about medieval and precursor pagan Scandinavia are often based on sources that cannot be verified scientifically. So let's see what the new claims are all about. The surprising assertions were made recently by Scandinavian studies experts. Roland Scheel from the Cluster of Excellence, Religion and Politics at the University of Munster said they were based essentially on reports written by Christian scholars in the High Middle Ages, well over a century later, since, besides brief runic inscriptions, no written texts from the original period had been preserved. He was speaking at the international conference Imagining Nordic Paganism, which was held from the 6th to the 7th of November. Mr. Scheel said that many people had a relatively clear image of the Viking period, defined as lasting from the 8th to the 11th century, and of pre-Christian Nordic mythology, this image deriving from numerous Viking films, series, video games and museums. This included, he said, the stereotype of the brave explorer, strong warrior and seafarer. However, he noted that what we knew about this period was not so clear-cut, and that key research narratives on paganism continue to obscure the fact that the texts they referred to comprised memorialised history only. The term Viking had mainly positive connotations, Mr. Scheel explained. Quote, pre-Christian Scandinavian society was created, for example, with a special warrior culture, an exceptionally good position for women compared to the Middle Ages, and freedom from religious constraints. End quote. He added that the positive image of Scandinavian paganism continued to shape identities to that day. One example was neo-pagan groups, a religious and cultural current based on pre-Christian paganism, whose followers saw themselves as living Scandinavian paganism, often in contrast to monotheistic religions such as Christianity. End quote. Mr. Scheel said that modern views often ignored negative aspects, such as the brutality of the Vikings' raids. This contrasted with how other medieval events, such as the Crusades, were seen today. He added, ideas about the Vikings could be seen in pop culture, advertising, and even politically motivated projects. One example was the Council of Europe's Viking cultural route, which included numerous historical sites and presented the Viking heritage as a unifying element of European identity. Mr. Scheel and fellow Scandinavian studies scholar Simon Hauke investigated how the image of the pagan North originated in the Middle Ages and developed over time. They noted that ideas about Scandinavian paganism had been passed down for centuries and reworked from different perspectives. This included sources from the 13th century Edda by Icelandic chronicler Snorri Sturluson to later figures such as Jacob Grimm and Otto von Bismarck, who referenced the Edda in his Reichstag speeches. Quote, what was true for all periods was that studying how people imagined Scandinavian paganism in their particular time and how they sought to convey this image to others, this spoke volumes about their goals and mindsets. Our research allowed us to peek behind the scenes of our own knowledge, or of what we thought we knew, said Mr. Scheel. He added that the image of the pagan North had often been used for political purposes. Quote, the clearest negative example was how the Volk movement and the National Socialists exploited Norse mythology, misusing medieval written sources to underpin their racial ideology. End quote. While links to extremism still existed, Mr. Scheel said the overall reception was now more varied. Ideas about Norse mythology had also influenced art and literature. Mr. Hauke said one further example was Richard Wagner's opera Der Ring des Nibelungen. Many of the ideas we had about Norse mythology came from this opera's premiere, he said, including the figure of the Valkyrie, whom Wagner clothed as a decidedly feminine warrior. According to Mr. Hauke, this image only partly reflected the original sources. Quote, besides selecting the fallen in battle and transporting them to Valhalla, and playing the role of lover to a human hero, they also served as barmaids in the afterlife. He added, in the textual sources, Valkyries often intervened in human battles, but it was unclear what exactly their role was in the original mythology, and whether they were seen as warriors. The only thing that was certain was that this was just one of the many facets of a character whom later interpretations reduced to her femininity and warriorhood. Messrs. Scheel and Hauke's research project, Paganizations, memorialised paganism as an element of Scandinavian and European identities, looks at how ideas of paganism influence cultural identity. The conference, Imagining Nordic Paganism, Cultural Memories and Scholarly Thought Since the Middle Ages, focused on the historical reception of Scandinavian paganism. So, what do you think about how Norse paganism is seen today? Do you feel you have an accurate understanding of the Vikings and their world? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. And you can also support the channel on Subscribestar via the link in the description, or via YouTube Super Thanks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.